Excuse me, I gotta clear my throat because my foot is in it from what I was saying about Bennick in my last video that he was gonna go undefeated. He had a hard time this race. And we've got Bomer, who is freaking on fire. Let's watch Juju with the most exceptional line of the entire week so far, even though it's only day 2. Watch this individual right here. See if you catch it. First off, if I digress, I love how he cut the corner as opposed to always going over here. You're stuck in the powdery, that's going to slow you down. He cuts across a lot of the ruts. You will see a lot of these pros cutting across the deep ruts as opposed to staying in the middle of them and you just bounce and blah, 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 blah. So there, that was really good, but that wasn't what I wanted to point out. Right there. Did you see it? It's pretty much, I wouldn't say cutting the track, but it is off the track. Juju jumps, directs himself. I'm just going to go around here and go around some of the super, super deep ruts, get close to the tree. Here we go. And into the next corner. Do you see what he's doing? He's trail braking. He has got his foot on the rear brake the entire corner. See if I can slow this down a little bit as he's coming through. That foot is on that rear brake. And then now that he's accelerating, well, he's accelerating throughout the entire corner. But now that he's straight, then he lifts off using it as a foot peg and accelerates to the next corner. And the last thing I noticed that Juju was doing was as the moto went on, he started taking more outside lines. He was searching for smooth lines, even though that they are quite a bit more surface area that you have to track. It ends up being faster because it's not as deep and you don't get stopped. And the next triple here, these 250s, were having a hard time getting over it. So you watch Juju and he seat bounced. Do you see how he moved his whole body weight back? He goes from the front, from scrubbing, to then moving way back to get as much downward force on that rear shock to bounce him over. And then he'll pull in the clutch, grab the rear brake. You can see the rear tire stop to get over it. Well executed. However, seat bouncing is always slower than preloading just with your legs standing up. You don't get as big of a bounce, therefore you're not as high in the air, and therefore the wheels touch the ground sooner. But you do get a better hop with this, and most 250s have a hard time because they're underpowered. At least normal 250s are underpowered compared to 450s. Talking about Bennick now. It didn't go that well for him. His forward momentum was inhibited because he had riders going around him on the outside, and it pretty much stops your forward momentum. Your confidence gets shot once you see guys that are starting to pass you that you think they shouldn't be passing you. And especially if your last moto, you came racing through the pack, then the opposite happens to you in Moto 2. But he's got time. He's got lots of motos left, just like Julian was able to remount, have a better charge, and pretty much get a good start and go out front. I do think Bennick, if he gets a good start, it might help a lot with his confidence. But I digress yet again. Let's watch this. He's on the inside here. And we have got Finnis, who just was dicing through everybody. And he's trying to pass Bennick on the outside. Well, Bennick ends up pushing him off the track by just taking the line away from him. And yet, he still ends up getting passed. So that was, the confidence shot right there, if I'm speculating. And then, he just had a couple things happen. I don't know if this potentially could have hurt him and made him feel as if your forward momentum is gone, especially if you tweak your knee. Watch what he does here. He sits down and dabs that foot. These ruts are so deep that when you keep those feet on the foot pegs, those heels drop, the suspension compresses, it gets snagged by the dirt and rips your feet off. He does a good job with keeping that bike still in the rut, but that stuff hurts. That stuff hurts. That's why I'm a big proponent to those ankle savers, that probably wouldn't have nailed his heel as much to be yanking it off because he is a taller rider. But here, I'll stop talking. We'll watch it in real time so you can see. I mean, it was still smooth. It was still a mistake, but it was still real smooth. And so if we watch Ferry tackle the same corner, he's on the inside, but he keeps his feet on the pegs. This kid is actually really impressing me with how he's riding. You could tell he's confident because he's getting good starts, and the speed's not quite there, so he's fighting as hard as he can, and he's going backwards. This next section, I know he's not the only rider that is doubling into this corner off this scrub jump, but what I saw him afterwards just kind of bounce over some of the braking bumps. Yes, it's so minor, but just this kid is impressing me. I can't help but just watch Ferry, even as he's going backwards. I think good things are going to come from this kid. Not to mention, if we watch his dad ride, what was his dad? His dad was like a Kevin Windham, was very smooth. He didn't look like he was really riding hard. And you know Ferry this entire moto because he was staying up in fourth for a while before it ended up going back. Like, he was moving. He was right there at his max heart rate, pushing as hard as he can, but you didn't really see a whole lot of mistakes from the kid. So he is definitely somebody to watch, especially as he's going pro. That's a good segue. If you're thinking about going pro, and even if you're an amateur, well, it's nice to have a coach because it's better to lean on somebody that's done it before and has a program built that is successful than rather trying to figure out yourself. Coach Robb does training programs. He does nutrition. He's got supplements. He does blood evaluations to make sure that your numbers are okay and you're not overtraining and something's going on. He does a lot of analysis when it comes to data. He is one of the best coaches that you could have for whatever kind of training you're doing, whether it's weekend warrior or semi-professional to professional. Make sure you head over to Complete Racing Solutions for his lineup. I wanted to add this in here. Nelson, he is on the blue bike here. This is an attainable line. It's still a very difficult line, but the 10 Commandments are scary, right? It's hard to say, hey, I'm going to go triple, quad, whatever through them. No, once you're on the bike and on the track, it's hard to not just go double, or single. Watch what he does here. He goes to the inside, and he's drifting wide, covering that line on the outside, and he goes double, triple out. You can keep it pinned on the last triple, and if you case it, you don't have another jump coming right at you that could scare you. That's why it's always easier to triple into a corner in Supercross because there's not another obstacle in the middle of it, and if you're tripling from right out of a corner, that's more scary because you got another obstacle right there. So I see a lot of guys, especially privateers, that end up doing a triple out type of a scenario. So we'll watch that again, and that's a line that I think guys that are struggling with the 10 Commandments there at Loretta could be looking at. Double. We're on wide open. Beautiful. Still scary, but doable. You guys know the drill. This video is winding down, so if you made it this far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification icon and have your comments down below. I read them all, and you guys actually help out quite a bit with noting, seeing stuff, the whole 9 yards. Here, we've got Finis, who's just freaking coming through the pack. I like right after the 10 Commandments. He pretty much turned it into a step-down double. Watch what he does right here. Just smooth, super smooth. Jumps off, then uses a braking bump to turn it into a double. Just the bike control just blows me freaking away. These kids were not afraid to push people out of the way. Watch Finis here, and this is right before the finish line through the sand section. He's on the inside. He's going to darn near jump off the track, and he's just going to take the line away from Towers. Towers pretty much had the line. He probably could have gotten away with it, but that's one of those things. If you notice somebody catching you lap after lap, it's real hard for you to have the confidence to not get out of the way. Like, that's what Deegan has done really well to help build his confidence, is he hasn't been one of the fastest guy, but he won't get out of the way of anybody. So Towers, if I had any advice, I would have been fight harder for that position, because we saw it happen with Bennick. You know, an example, when he was trying to get around Clough, he was having a hard time, and he got it stopped his forward momentum. He's on the inside here, and he tries pinching off, and he literally has the line. So the difference between this setup and this setup is Finis doesn't have the front wheel. He doesn't have the bike. But back here, Bennick has the bike. But Clough just takes it, pushes him, and boom. And pretty much stopped this kid's forward momentum. Daxton wasn't really able to start pushing through the pack, where Finis was able to push people out of the way and ends up getting on the podium because of it. Oh, that's the end of the video. Till next time, guys, keep it WFO. Brop! I forgot the brop last time, so here's an extended one. Bra da 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 da.